Hey guys, today we're going to be drawing a really pretty door from Puerto Rico. I'm using the iPad Pro with the Apple Pencil and the Procreate app. If you're new to Procreate, I also have a video called 25 Procreate Tips and Tricks, which I suggest to watch first because as I draw, I'll be using these shortcut actions. I will link that video below. So grab your favorite tea or coffee and let's start drawing. So I was recently on a cruise and we were able to stop on one of the ports, which was Puerto Rico, and we got to explore a little bit. It was really, really beautiful, all of the architecture and the facades of buildings. So I took a couple of photos. So here is one of the doors I took. I took many doors, but today we're going to be drawing this one. So I've imported this picture and I've already traced it, which is in another layer right above it. So here is my trace. And so with the door layer, I'm just gonna shrink it down a bit so I can reference. And I'm just gonna place it up here. And there is another way you can reference using Procreate. However, I kind of like my reference layer to be on just its own layer. So let's start off with the background. I'm gonna create a new layer and I'm gonna grab the color of the stucco wall. So I'm just gonna put my finger on there and then you can see the color palette show up and it's gonna pop up right there. And then we're just gonna change our brush to just an airbrush. Okay, and I just wanna make sure that picture is back on the top layer. So let me move that up. So next we're gonna do a layer for every element. So the next one I'm gonna do is just this concrete. And again, I'm gonna create a new layer above the base. I'm gonna grab this concrete color. And this time I'm just gonna use just a hard brush. If I don't let go of my Apple Pencil, the line will be really straight. And then I just wanna close this off and then color drop. And now the same thing with the white arch. I'm gonna create a new layer, grab that, just decrease the brush size a little bit. And again, I'm not gonna let go of my pencil. It's gonna become a straight line. And now this line might be a little bit tricky because it's a circle, but if I follow it, and I'm not gonna let go of my pencil, you can see that it's a really straight circle. Okay, let me just uncheck that so we can see. And I'm gonna do the same thing here. And then we're just gonna color drop that. All right, next is this little alcove. And I'm just gonna continue to fill in the color. Okay, and that is what we have. So next I'm going to be just doing a little bit of this door adornment. There's some metal stuff happening here. So I'm just gonna go and do that right now. So it's basically just a black circle with a little white highlight. So I'm gonna create a new layer for that. And it's probably easier if we get the round brush and we just plop a circle like that. You kind of want to match the size of that brush with the circle. And then next I'm going to enable alpha lock on this layer. So we're going to click on that layer with all the circles and then hit alpha lock. And what this does is it isolates the color that you've just drawn. So let's just say I want to change that color to a pink. I can just color that and it's not going to go anywhere outside of what I've drawn. So let's have that alpha lock on, and then we're gonna select a white with the airbrush, and then we're just gonna lightly just put a little highlight on the top left. I'm very lightly doing this, no pressure. See how it kind of pops? All right, next we're gonna do the little doorknob here. So I'm just gonna stay in the same layer. This time I gotta disable the alpha lock, otherwise it won't let me color. I'm gonna grab that black again. Let me just reference this again. It's kind of like a little copper color, so let's try to grab that. Just gonna do varying shades of the same color. And then I'm gonna turn back on the alpha lock, and then we can shade. So I'm just gonna grab lighter colors with the airbrush. Next, we can start adding some texture. So let's start off with the concrete sidewalk. Now, Procreate has a ton of different textures. We can just go and browse and see what fits. So let's go into our brushes, and we're gonna go to industrial. Here's a concrete block. We could try that. Let's just see how this looks. We wanna go back into that layer, and then we also wanna enable the alpha lock. Okay, that looks pretty cool. I'm just gonna increase my brush size. Okay, start off lightly, and then if you wanna add more texture, you can just press harder. Next, we're gonna do the stucco background. So let's go into that layer, and then we're just gonna go into textures. Hopefully you have this. It's just called grunge. And I'm gonna select this color and just a lighter shade of that. I don't know if you can see that. If I just zoom in. So we're likely gonna do that all the way around. And then we can also just get a darker color. And then we're gonna do the same thing with the white arch. We can also go back and swap up the brushes. So let's go back to industrial, and we can even try, actually there is a stucco here. We can use the stucco. And then here with the inside, same thing. And I do just want to define this area here. So I'm just going to create another layer. So next, I'm just going to draw some of these lines going here. So I'm just going to start a new layer again at the very top. And I'm going to grab a darker color of this brown. I'm just going to use a 6B pencil. Hopefully you have that as well. Okay, so you're probably not going to be able to see it because of this black outline, but all right, I'm going to take off the sketch. Kind of looks like that. So next we're gonna draw this little black thing here, right? So I think it's just like a little window with a bar, I guess for safety. Let's turn back on the sketch. So we're gonna start a new layer. We're gonna select a gray, and then we're just gonna do this little window here first. And then I'm gonna create another layer with a black. And I'll probably just increase my brush size actually, so you don't have to fill. And I'm probably gonna move this layer to underneath these little circles. So let me just do that. So I'm gonna move this down over there, and then I'm gonna move this gray underneath that. All right, so I'm going to merge these two layers. So now we got one big gate there, and then I'm gonna alpha lock that, and then just make some white highlights here. All right, so let's go back to the door. We kind of want to add some of this texture. Okay, so under materials, I found something called clover. You can check to see if you have that as well. So just make sure that your alpha lock is on the door. We're gonna grab that brown, just a slightly different color, and we're only gonna do certain parts. If I zoom in, you can kind of see that. And then just select something a little lighter. I'm gonna blend this actually, that's just a bit too light. So I'm gonna grab the blending brush, make sure it's on a soft airbrush, and then you wanna kind of blend this up. You don't wanna get rid of the texture, so we're just gonna be blending the edges. So we can just go back and forth with various shades until you're happy with your door. And you kind of want to put shadow just right in the corners here where the door opens, and just on the other side. And also here at the top. And you can see the shadow right here that's casted inside the door. So I'm gonna try to copy that. Just gonna grab this brown. I'm still in that clover brush. So I'm just gonna lightly put some texture and shadow here. And then you can grab the lighter color right beside it. All right, so next we're gonna do down here, and I think it's a marble. So I'm gonna see if I can find a marble texture. So I'm still in material, and then I found one called Blackwood. So let's see how that turns out. All right, and then lastly, I noticed some of these numbers here, 8, 9, 10, 11. So let me just grab this color. It's like a bronze. So let's go up here into settings, add text, and then we're gonna type in 8, 9, 10, and 11. We're gonna alpha lock that, but before we alpha lock, we gotta rasterize it. So make sure you hit rasterize and then alpha lock. And then we're gonna grab a lighter shade of this color with the airbrush. And then we're just gonna highlight the edges. kind of like what we did with those circles. And then just underneath where the door is, I'm gonna select a darker shade. I'm just gonna be putting a little bit of shadow. And then last, we're just gonna do the numbers up here. Let's just select a Bedoni old style. And the last thing, I'm just gonna quickly sign my name. I'm just gonna grab a calligraphy brush. And there's my door. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. For more drawing tutorials and gadget reviews, be sure to subscribe to Draw with Marina.